Devashis, prabhu. We're so excited to hear from you
Emma.
today.
Oh dear. All right. Good to hear everyone could join with us. Some good news for you all is that Srila Madhusudan Maharaj is, as we speak, on his way back to Europe and should arrive sometime this evening in Villa Govinda. So from next week, Madhusudan Maharaj will be with us again. We hope, we think. Until then, here I am trying to fill in his follow in his footsteps by his grace. He asked me to continue this. I'm trying to do that. So tonight's talk is about Sadhana Bhakti, and whether Sadhana Bhakti is a process or a prayer. This is how I've termed it. So yes, first of all, we have to abandon the idea that sadhana is a kind of a process. Of course, the word sadhana means a practice that we perform to achieve something. But in Bhakti sadhana is mainly to invoke the service of the Lord, to invoke the grace of the Lord. So it is not that we make some kind of contract, although we do, but it isn't. The contract isn't that I'll chant this many rounds every day and follow these kind of principles and do these things, and Krishna must give me the result. It is not like that. Otherwise, it would just be a mechanical thing. We can just go mechanically through the process, and we must achieve the result. But that is a materialistic way of thinking towards our sadhana. Rather, our sadhana is meant to invoke the grace of the Lord upon us. So when the Lord sees that despite our failings, despite our weakness of heart, despite our being terminally distracted, we are trying, and mercifully the Lord will grant us some grant us some grace, and that is really what our sadhana is about. Sadhana bhakti is meant to regulate us. So first of all, it is necessary for us to practice sadhana every day under the direction of Guru and Vaishnava. So that means, yes, we make some commitment to our Gurudev and to the Vaishnavas and to Lord Krishna, that every day we will chant his holy name and we will try to serve him. Srila Govinda Maharaj said many times at the time of giving initiation, it is my expectation that from today you will serve Lord Krishna every day. So this is our sadhana, to try to serve Lord Krishna and his associates, his devotees, his mission, his temple, his holy name, all of these things. We shall try to serve him in a regulated way every day. But the goal itself is not regulation. The goal is the merciful grace of the Lord, that the Lord will see that we are trying and graciously try to lift us up from our present fallen condition. And every sadhaka should think that they are fallen. Not just think it, know it, because we are actually, being in the material world means we are in a fallen state. No, we should never think, oh yes, I've attained it. I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and now I'm, become a master of it. No, not at all. Not at all. It is not so cheap that it's so easily attainable. And we should be prepared to do whatever it takes. That Srila Guru Maharaj said, oh, you all know this saying, that no risk, no gain. It's a common English saying. No risk, no gain. Greatest risk, greatest gain. So then Srila Guru Maharaj would say, but are you ready for all risk and no gain? Now, this is the criteria, that we are willing to risk everything for the service of our Lord and expect nothing in return. That is the process of Sharanagati and the process of self-sacrifice in Krishna consciousness. And we shall try to do everything required of us to sacrifice ourselves, if needs be, for the satisfaction of the Lord and his devotees, and not expect anything in return. And if we do expect anything in return, it should only be the capacity to do more, the capacity to engage in more service. And to be given more service means we need more capacity to do service. So this should be our reward. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says like that. Engage me as a servant, and for my pay, give me more service and the capacity for more service. So this should be our thinking. And our sadhana, again, if we hear the wonderful teachings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I just read recently, he said, for the sadhaka, that means the devotee who's attempting to practice Krishna consciousness, the most important sadhana is to give up the association of non-devotees. We should try to surround ourselves only with devotees, and only in a devotional spirit. Not that we shall make some friends within the ranks of the devotees, and together we shall do all kinds of deviant and naughty things with them. That won't be helpful to us. And neither should we, when we see that something is unfavorable to our devotional life, we should immediately abandon that and try and seek out what is actually helpful for our devotional life. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says we shouldn't think, okay, today I'll give attention to this thing which I know to be against devotional service, and tomorrow I shall start very carefully guarding myself against that thing. Said, no, never do like that. As soon as you recognize that what you are doing is against your devotional progress, you should immediately reject that, abandon that, and make yourself strong in your devotional practice. And our devotional practice should be, Guru Maharaj said, not so much that it will kill you, but rather that which you can manage. You can manage easily, and then you can increase. So every day we shall do some practice, and every day we shall follow the recommendation of the scripture and the sadhus. Try to rise early, try to engage in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, try to seek out the company of the devotees, hear Hari Katha, and render humble service to Hari Guru and Vaishnava. This should be our sadhana. And the main guidance for our sadhana should be Tunadapi Sunichena Taroriba Suhishnana Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Shadahari. This seminal verse of Sri Chaitanya Dev, found in his Shikastakam, the 8 verses of instruction that he gave us from his own pen or his own lips, if you like, is that we should practice humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others, and at the same time not expecting any honor or recognition for ourselves. This is the barometer of devotion, and also the secret of devotion. If you can practice humility, and what kind of humility? Humility like the straw in the street, the blade of grass, that is so insignificant that anyone can walk over that and it will not object, it will not push back. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, we are worse than the straw in the street. Our position is worse than that, because the straw in the street doesn't make any resistance, whereas we're always resisting. When the Lord comes to grace us, we're always resisting. No, I have my idea what should be my practice, what should be my involvement in all of this. That's up to me, not up to you. So this way, he says, our position is worse than the straw, and we should be tolerant, tolerant like the tree, that you can do anything to the tree and the tree doesn't object. You can carve your name in it, you can chop off its branches, you can even cut it down, and while you're in the act of cutting it down, it still gives its fruits and shelter to you while you're doing it. This is the example of tolerance of the tree. Tolerance is the most difficult practice in our sadhana, to be tolerant of so many external things. But we should know that those external things are not coming from any opposition party. They're actually being generated by ourselves. So whatever comes before us, if we see it as something objectionable, but we should try to tolerate that also, and tolerate that with affection and with the understanding that this is coming in front of me by the grace of the Lord. This is because of my past deeds. The Lord is giving some lesson to me, and if I can learn this lesson by tolerating this, understanding this is the very necessity for my life at this particular time, at this particular moment, then the benefits will be huge. And also we should be ready to honor all living beings. So first of all, Krishna says in the Gita, those who have samadarshana, who have equal vision, they see, the humble sage, the elephant, the dog eater, all of them to be the same, because within the heart of all of them is the Supreme Lord, the Paramatma. And so each and every person, object, creature, anything that we come in connection with, which is alive, means it has the spark of God within them, and therefore worthy of our respect and honor. This is from a very basic point of view, but we should also try to honor others by seeing what's honorable within them. It means to dive deep into the bright side of that person, to try to see what is really good within them, and try to ignore the external things that we may find objectionable. And Srila Guru Maharaj said, by giving honor to others, they become honorable. And at the same time, we should not covet any honor or prestige for ourselves, because this is antithetical towards devotion. It will spoil our devotion, this ambition, to be ambitious for recognition in the world, and even to be ambitious for recognition amongst the devotees as being someone special or somebody worthy of honor. And rather we should try to give honor to all, but especially to give honor to the devotees. Mahaprabhu has taught us through Srila Rupa Goswami that how we should give honor to the Vaishnavas, who's chanted the name of Krishna even once. We should honor them within our mind. And those who have been initiated into chanting the holy name of the Lord, we should offer our respects to them. And those who are giving their life, heart and soul, we should try to serve those devotees. And by trying to serve those devotees, we will also progress in our own spiritual life. So what is our sadhana? Our sadhana is the service of the holy name, the service of the Vaishnavas, and Mahaprabhu says, kindness to all living entities, jiva doya. So we should be kind to everybody, but treat them with honor, respect, but with an eye of discrimination. So Guru Maharaj said, not to be humble. Humility doesn't mean humble to the madman in the street. The common people, they're all half mad. So why should we try to show humility to them? But in our own behavior, we should be humble to all, but especially we should always be humble and submissive to the Vaishnavas, to our gurus, to our guardians. And this way we'll always be free of the tendency towards Vaishnava aparad. Vaishnava aparad is the number one offense to the holy name of Krishna. To offend those who have given their life for the service and preaching of Krishna's holy name. So we never want to be offenders to them in any way. And so that means our dealings with the devotees should always be gentle and should always be submissive and honorable and respectful. We should always maintain these attitudes towards those who are practicing Krishna consciousness. We do not know actually who is advanced and who is not advanced. We're not able to necessarily measure somebody's adhikar, means their position in devotional life. Sometimes we think, oh yeah, they've been around for a long time, they must be very advanced in spiritual life. And he's only been around for, only joined last year, so he can't be very advanced. But that may not be true. Once I went on this time management course when I was in my working life. They sent us on this time management course, and one of the things that the guy who was teaching us, he said, in business you often hear, I've been in this company for 20 years, or I have 20 years experience in this, whatever it is. And he said, but actually what they're saying is, I have 1 year's experience, it's just 20 years old. So this may be the case also. We may have been around for a long time, but we still may be in the same position as we were when we joined. And our experience is just that many years old, just some small experience. So spiritual life must be progressive. So we never think that an old dog can't learn new tricks. We want to learn something new all of the time, because the spiritual world is always progressive and dynamic. So there's always something new for us to learn in our spiritual life. And so our sadhana should be in that way. But as I mentioned at the beginning, we shouldn't think that our sadhana, our spiritual practice, that we grit our teeth and we go through the motions and we do everything, regulate ourselves in such a way that Krishna will be forced to give us entrance into the spiritual world. It is a foolish idea. And we may become very regulated and very fixed in our sadhana, but being regulated isn't the goal of our sadhana. Sadhana bhakti is only necessary until love grows in the heart. Love for Krishna grows within the heart. When the creeper of bhakti flourishes and opens, and an actual love of God manifests in the heart of the sadhaka, then there is no necessity of any kind of sadhana as such, because then everything is within you is guided by your spiritual intuition. But we shouldn't think that we are qualified for that right now. Right now, we have to practice devotion as given in the scripture, following all the rules and regulations given in the scripture, and strictly trying to maintain our spiritual life. And hopefully, the Lord will be satisfied with us, and we'll make progress. And also, our spiritual life should always be under the guidance of a sadhu. As much as possible, we should try to serve under the direction of a higher Vaishnava. Then our service may have some touch with reality, because the higher Vaishnavas, they already connected with that reality, and so if we can satisfy them, then Krishna will not be able to ignore their plea on our behalf. We may pray to Krishna, we may say many things to Krishna, but he is under no obligation to listen to us. But his real devotees, his actual devotees, it is very difficult for him to neglect their request. So we should always think in that way. I am nothing, and my Gurudev and the Vaishnavas, they are everything. If I can please them, if they can be happy with me, then maybe I have some chance that the Lord and his devotees may be pleased with me and ask me, invite me into their company in a substantial way. This is our goal, really. Our goal in spiritual life is to try to be, that we want to be accepted by the Vaishnavas as a good servant, a good servitor. When Srila Govinda Maharaj was speaking about our dear late departed godbrother Judamanyu Prabhu, Srila Govinda Maharaj said he only asked Guru Maharaj one question, and that was, do you want this? And if Guru Maharaj would say yes, then he would do that thing, whatever it was. And if Guru Maharaj said no, then he wouldn't do that thing. This was his only criteria. Guru Maharaj, do you want this or not? Guru Maharaj would say yes or no, and he would act according to that. This is the proper attitude of a disciple towards his Gurudev. How can I please you? And somebody asked Guru Maharaj this question too, how can I please you? One of our godbrothers. He was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, and took sannyas from Guru Maharaj. And one day he asked him, how can we please you? And I think he was thinking, as a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, that like Srila Prabhupada, if you ask Prabhupada that question, every one of us knows what his answer would be. How can I please you? His answer would be, distribute my books. And that was always his answer to this question. Just distribute my books. Then maybe he was thinking Guru Maharaj's reply would be something like that. But he said, how can I please you? And Guru Maharaj said, please me. First of all, it was like, why do you want to? Oh, okay, yes, as taking me as guru and you as the disciple. Then he said, then Guru Maharaj's reply was, so what I am for, what I want to do with my life, but what I've heard from my Guru Maharaj, I want to give every last drop of my blood for that, my every breath only for that. And if you can also do that, then that will please me. So then you can see that, like, a very simple but very difficult proposal. to please Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Nothing less than giving your every last drop of blood, your every last breath, for the service of the ideal that we've come to Krishna consciousness for, the ideal given by our Gurudev. This was Guru Maharaj's reply. So, and that should be the aim of our sadhana, should be that. Our aim of our sadhana should be to make ourselves fit for the service of Krishna. And it's not actually by practicing that we'll become fit, but only by grace, only by the grace of the Lord. And our practice is only meant for invoking that grace of the Lord, the grace of the Guru, the grace of the Vaishnavas. And if we are able to get that grace, then our sadhana will be successful. Our sadhana will be successful. It's not that the goal of our sadhana is that, yes, I rise every morning at this time, I chant this many rounds, I do this many obeisances, I worship my deity in this way, I do these things, all of those things. Those things are all good, but they're not the goal of our practicing life. A goal of our practicing life is to invoke the grace of the Lord, that our heart may open and real love for Krishna may develop there. And when that love of Krishna develops, then sadhana bhakti withdraws and raganuga bhakti appears. Now we are actually followers of raganuga bhakti. That means the path of loving devotion of the Lord. But at the same time, we should not think that, although that is our goal, we should never think that we've attained that. Then therefore we can abandon sadhana, we can abandon all kinds of regulated life. We don't need to follow the rules and regulations. We can do whatever we want. That will be imitation. And imitation, as Srila Govinda Maharaj says, that leads to the garbage of sahajiyism. And Srila Govinda Maharaj said, meaning imitation, being an imitation devotee. And Gurudev would say, we do not want that our friends will go to the garbage of sahajiyism and spoil their own fortune. So we have a great fortune to come in connection with Hari Guru Vaishnava, with Mahaprabhu's conception of divine love, and especially with the line of Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. It is very unique and clean and supreme. It is the supreme line of devotional service in this world today. If we can navigate all of the other rubbish in the world and come to that conception, then we should try to understand what fortune we have with even the least connection with that, but not to spoil our fortune by going to the garbage of sahajiyism. Means pretending devotion, imitation devotion, show bottle devotion, all of these things. No, it must be real. Our devotional practice must be real, and our realization must be real. And this way, we hope that we don't make any compromise. We don't try to compromise or settle for just a show, for just something superficial. Superficial devotion is no real devotion. We need real substantial devotion, a real connection with reality. Srila Sridhar Maharaj's definition of what is Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is reality, and you would be well advised to become acquainted with that, he told some devotees who came to consult with him. Krishna consciousness is reality, and you would be well advised to become acquainted with that. So we want that. We want to be able to push aside the superficial And superficial means anarthas, the anarthas. Our sadhana actually, our main sadhana is to try to do away with all the anarthas, all the unwanted things within us. And as we discussed last week, the four main anarthas for the jiva is one, our misidentification about who we are, thinking that we're the body, that we're the mind, that we're all of our opinions, that there are so many things, so many misconceptions acquired over lifetimes about who we are. That's the first thing. And the second, the biggest anartha is that, although theoretically we understand it, we still think that when we look in the mirror that that's us. And the second is desire for material things. And it doesn't just mean, desire for a big car or a big house or, lots of money, or all those things are included within that. But just the desire, thinking that there's anything desirable or that we should try to attain in this material world, that's an anartha. So we need to become free of that. That is the second anartha for the sadhaka, the desire for the material things of this world. The third is aparad, offense. The offense always means from the lower to the higher. The lower devotee can make offense to the higher devotee. And this has been given in so many places. The Nam Aparads, 10 Nam Aparads, then there's the Dharma Aparads, there's Seva Aparad, there's so many Aparads, so many different kinds of offenses that we can make in our attempt to serve Krishna. Those are all included as anarthas. And the fourth anartha is weakness of heart. Weakness of heart means that, we're just too lazy to do what's required of us. We know what we're meant to do, but we can't be bothered. We're just, just whatever happens. Oh, maybe next life. Okay. We're just like, oh, I've done as much as I can do in this life. These are all symptoms of weakness of heart. And also, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this idea of showing off our renunciation for the world. This is also an example of weakness of heart, because we're not trying to be renunciates, we're not trying to be yogis, we're not trying to be karmis, we're not trying to do anything in this world other than trying to reach the service of Lord Krishna and the service of his devotees with integrity. And unfortunately, we suffer from a weakness of heart. We try for some time and then think, oh, I can't be bothered anymore. This is very unfortunate. So, and how to become free of that? Seek out those devotees who have, ongoing enthusiasm for the spiritual life, ongoing enthusiasm for the service of Hari, Guru, and Vaishnava. Those who are filled with that enthusiasm, if we can associate with them in the proper way, and if we can allow their enthusiasm to rub off on us, it's infectious. It's infectious. When my girls were young, we had a friend, and she used to have these parties, chicken pox parties. So one of the kids would get chicken pox, and then she would invite all of her friends' kids round, so they could get chicken pox too, because when it's as a childhood disease, it's not very harmful. But if you get it later in life, it can be very harmful. So better to get it. And once you've had it, you get some kind of immunity to it. So this was the idea, that she'd have these parties. The kids would all come round and contract chickenpox parties. So we should have a similar thing where we have, Hari Bhakti parties, that we all get together and with those who have bhakti, real bhakti for the Lord, and hopefully we'll all, because it's contagious, we'll all contract that also. We'll all contract that Hari Bhakti from those who are infected with it already. Let the infection spread more and more and more. And let's expose ourselves to that, divine virus, if you like, that divine contagion of Krishna consciousness. We want that. So that's why the association of the devotees is so vital for us. With this idea that we should go to a solitary place and chant Harinam, we'll not do that. You'll only sleep and think about material things. Come into the association of devotees and engage in Harinam Sankirtan, service to Lord Krishna and his devotees. Hear Harikatha and take the remnants of Lord Krishna's food. That will give us our benefit in life. That will be our real sadhana in life. So anyhow, that was what I wanted to speak about this evening. And perhaps if anyone has some question, or if someone has something they'd like to say that relates to that, we'd be very happy to hear from you all now. So thanks for listening to me. You can see some of the devotees here. I'm looking on my screen. Sadly, my eyesight's really bad now, but I'm happy to see you all. So many, actually. So does anyone have a question or a comment or something they want to say? Silence came the stern reply. Who's there? No?
Dandavats Maharaj, Devashis prabhu. I have a question.
Prabhu.
Nitai Gauranga, Jai Gurudev.
Jai.
So the safety net is, though, the soul will never think they've achieved love for the Lord, so their sadhana will never drop away. Like, they will actually want to increase and increase. This is a question. They'll want to increase and increase still their sadhana, because they're thinking that naturally they'll be thinking that I have nothing. I need to do that sadhana. Is that like the safety net for saving oneself from the hell of sahajism?
Yes, of course. And devotee never thinks that they've attained that, but the goal of their sadhana. So then we hear Srila Sridhar Maharaj. He said, from the age of 8 to 80, you need to follow Vaishnav Sadachar. That means the practices of devotion, the sadhana bhakti. That means, the wearing the tilak and the neck beads and doing all of the functions of devotion. Before 8, it's not necessary. Not necessary to follow the Ekadashi Brata and all of these things. But and after 80, also not necessary to do that. But between the age of 8 and 80, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, you must follow Vaishnav Sadachar. So you must practice sadhana bhakti. You must. And we can say that, in the last days, Bhakti Prasanna Aranya Maharaj, who, when we came to Guru Maharaj, his name was Krishna Sharan Prabhu. He, in his last days, he's following everything, like on Ekadashi, he's following Nirjal. He's not taking even a drop of water, even when he's like 90 years old. And not only that, he begins his Ekadashi when the sun goes down the night before. So at the time of sunset, on the day before Ekadashi, he begins his Ekadashi Brata and finishes at the Paran time. And Srila Govinda Maharaj would say to him, Prabhu, Maharaj, you don't need to follow this anymore, You don't need to follow this. And Aranya Maharaj, he would say, yes, Maharaj, I understand that, but it's my habit. I can't leave it. It's my habit now, So, you know, when we're talking about habits, usually means something bad. Oh, you know, I can't give up smoking, or I can't give up this, or I can't give up that, whatever it is. It usually has a bad connotation to it. But if you've been practicing your whole life, sadhana bhakti, then even when, you know, you're over 80, if you get to live that long, then you can say, yes, it's because it's my habit. I can't stop it. It's because of my habit. Then I think that's a wonderful thing. That's a really wonderful thing.